Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. I wish, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. You can always catch all the coolest wrestling factoids and all the action inside and outside of the ring. Eric pulls back the curtain, see what's behind the curtain, talk about professional wrestling superstars, certain rumors, storylines projected, just drama, just which is the reason why people are absolutely in love with professional wrestling. So, hope you guys had an amazing Thursday. We're almost there. Tomorrow is Friday. So make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast on the GSMC Sports Network once again at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a lot on tap for you today. We have a great show. Segment one, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're going to review that. We're going to preview my Thursday Night Wrestling, which is Ring of Honor and also, TNA Impact. And then we're going to talk about Sasha Banks reflecting on her time with WWE, the good, the bad, the ugly, what she kind of expects from AEW, as compared to WWE. Fourth segment, I got hot seat cool beans for you guys. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite Forbidden Door. I'm going to give you guys the superstars that are going to be in that pay-per-view. Going to say, hey, if the seat is hot, that means they need to do something. If it's cool, that means even if they win or lose, I don't really see their kind of storyline or their progression or their character kind of change, at all, or, if any. And our fifth and final segment, we're going to end like we do every Thursday. My Thursday superstar spotlight is going to be today, John Cena. We talked about, on Tuesday, today in wrestling history. And today's the 27th, so it was the 25th. Where John Cena in 2002 made his debut at WWE SmackDown against Kurt Angle. And of course, that made waves, obviously, waves big enough for him to become probably the most interesting man in the world, John Cena. So, we're going to talk about that. Well, before we move on, before we do anything, of that nature, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your questions, comments, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. It really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button, and also follow the show and the GSMC network. Again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So we're going to talk about our first segment. We have AEW Dynamite review. All in all, it was pretty good. I guess ratings are, sky high. They've increased from a Collision, also Rampage, and also last week on Dynamite. So that's good news for AEW. Definitely love that. So the show started off with, of course, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. The moment he came out, the moment he opened up his mouth, then you saw Daniel Garcia, the Buffalo hometown boy. Of course, you saw, AEW. It was in Buffalo, the hometown of, Daniel Garcia. So, then you had a confrontation between the two. They stared face to face. Garcia and MJF honestly have a lot in common. And I guess, and both superstars kind of, they see that, they understand that they're, once again, they're not the tallest, superstars, but they can still throw some grime here. They can still be a dog in a big fight. It's not the size of the fight and the dog. It's something like I totally, it's the size of the fight in the dog. I can't say it word for word. It was actually pretty badass that MJF said that, but sucks I can't. My memory's not that good. So MJF offered to fight Garcia at Wembley Stadium at All In, because the last time they fought, it was for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and Daniel Garcia wasn't that developed yet. He wasn't really that confident in himself. So, the match was kind of lux. It was an easy win for MJF. But now, Daniel Garcia, he's worked his butt off. He's becoming one of the top tier superstars in terms of AEW. He's definitely the future. And MJF knows that, and he definitely, acknowledged it. He told Daniel, like, hey, honestly, you're doing a really, really good job. You're doing a really, really good job. Out of all the people in the locker room that probably could eventually beat me, it probably could be you. So, definitely love throwing flowers to the hometown boy in Buffalo, Daniel Garcia. But of course, MJF interrupted by Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay coming out. She absolutely, he looked so excited to just take the MJF spotlight. It was kind of crazy the way kind of, I was like, what is he doing out here? But Will Ospreay, he's welcome anywhere in terms of, All Elite Wrestling. He's the aerial assassin. So I wasn't really mad. Will Ospreay's pretty badass. So basically he interrupted MJF and he gave Daniel Garcia a shot at the AEW International Championship on next week on Dynamite. So that, he also offered up the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, saying that, basically he's going to sweeten the deal, basically, showing Swerve that he's not afraid of him, that he's going to beat him. Strickland can't hold on to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship because Will Ospreay is a huge juggernaut. And he, to his point, Will Ospreay is really, really damn good. This will definitely be probably the best test for Swerve Strickland in this title reign to see if he can actually prove all the naysayers wrong. Like he did fight Christian, and I think he defended his title against somebody else. I can't think of it right now. But so far so good. He beat Samoa Joe. Took him 2 times, but obviously, the first time he lost, it was a triple threat match with the Hangman Adam Page. Kind of messing it up. So a lot of good stuff happening with Will Ospreay. Offered Daniel Garcia a shot at the international championship on Dynamite, so it should be interesting to find out what happens at Forbidden Door. Next, we have the Blackpool Combat Club against the LIJ. The match was it was going really, really slow. It took about 2 commercial breaks and, picture in picture. And it got to the point where John Moxley, being John Moxley, being the wild thing that he is, grabs a chair and then all hell breaks loose. Kind of crazy, but there was never really a deciding winner in terms of that. You did see the leader of the LIJ, Katsuyori Naito, confront the IWGP champion John Moxley in the ring, wanting just kind of freak him out. Just be like, hey, like, are you looking forward to Forbidden Door like I am? Better focus. Better focus. Obviously, this match was kind of a way to kind of soften up, John Moxley, the IWGP champion. But, it's going to take a lot more than that to slow down the Wild thing. Just saying. Also, we saw Switchblade Jay White defeat Ray Fenix. So Jay White moves on with the Owen Hart Cup. Patriarchy came out to confront the Bang Bang Gang, which was actually kind of interesting and kind of crazy to see because you see like these two, heel factions come out and like press each other. And basically, the Bang Bang Gang are the trios champion in AEW. Also, they are the 6-man champion in Ring of Honor. They're, double the champion. They're holding double the gold and they have all the gold, so, that's going to be definitely perhaps a future match between Christian Cage and Jay White, which would be awesome. And in my honest opinion, I feel like Christian, you know, is kind of reminded of himself self about, how Jay White is. And I see that. I can see how Christian Cage is kind of reflected within Jay White, just the way just the way he is. You can't trust Jay White, the switchblade Jay White. He's one hell of an athlete. He can, get on the top rope. He's not one of the best, people in terms of, getting along with the crowd and stuff like that. He's kind of out there to get his own. And in recent years, of course, after the Edge and Christian thing in WWE, WWF, you kind of saw Christian Cage kind of be that switchblade Jay White just to kind of make a name for himself. So I think he sees a lot of him inside Jay, and he wants to find out about it. So it should be pretty interesting to find out. Next, we have the Acclaim challenge the Elite. So we're gonna have a 3-on-3 at Forbidden Door. No, I think is it gonna be at Forbidden Door? No, I think they're fighting for the tag team championships, or I don't know if that was quite. Don't quote me on that. But the Acclaimed recently in a proving ground match defeated the Young Bucks. Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. I like the Acclaimed. I definitely like the Acclaimed. Right now, I feel like the Young Bucks are kind of like being, I feel like they're kind of declining, but they need a huge win. They need a huge win. If they beat these guys fair and square, obviously, Kazuchika Okada will be, the Rainmaker. the AEW Continental Champion will be knocking on the door. Obviously in the back you have Jack Perry as well from the EVPs. So, only time will tell. Only time will tell. And then, of course, you had, Matthew or Nicholas Jackson. I still get them kind of confused. Uh, announced that during the Owen Hart Cup, there's going to be a wild card. There's going to be a wild card, and they're going to bring the title back to the EVPs. My guess, it might be the Hangman, Adam Page. That's probably the thing that makes the most sense. Other than that, I can't really put, my finger on it, but it should be interesting to find out who Jeff Jarrett fight. I think he's fighting, I think it's Rampage. I think it's on Rampage. Um, Moving on, we saw Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa defeat Anna Jay and the Outcast. After the match, you had a little bit of a drama. You had Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, and also Mariah May toasting. When you saw Toni Storm to her back to Shirakawa, she was dancing with Mariah May, and then, she ducked. Mina, had the champagne bottle and smashed it across Mariah May. Poor Mariah May. That's crazy. I feel, out of all this, baggage between the Toni Storm and Shirakawa, I think she's not good. The biggest, she's taking the biggest hurt here. She got, a glass to the head. She's also going to have to choose probably, at Forbidden Door, who she wants to represent, who she wants to be with. So, be with, so to speak, as, friends. I don't, honestly, at this point, I don't really know. I know AEW, kind of on that PG-13. So, can't. Let's move on. That's the perfect time to move on. Rapidly finishing this up, we have Mercedes Mone basically telling Stephanie Valkyrie that she wants to be the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. Obviously, right now, she is the AEW TBS Champion, but this title means so much to Mercedes Mone. It means so much. This was the match that she was fighting Willow Nightingale and couldn't win, mostly because of what happened when she got, pushed off the top rope and landed on her foot, breaking it in I think 2 places or whatever. So, this title means a lot. I don't want to say it means a lot to her more than the TBS championship. Obviously, this is a winner take all kind of thing. I feel like you kind of still need both championships on each brand. So I think this match is going to end with maybe an interference or something like that. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. So next we have, the Learning Tree come out. You have them confronted with Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, also Hook. They're obviously they had a promo heading toward Forbidden Door. Next you see Kyle O'Reilly losing to Zack Sabre Jr. Kyle O'Reilly, man, I feel bad for him because he keeps on losing. I feel like AEW needs to kind of put this guy in the winners column sooner rather than later because he has so much momentum from the crowd, from his stint with the Undisputed Kingdom. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't want to see Kyle O'Reilly make it back to the Undisputed Kingdom, in my opinion. I kind of love him showing his personality, kind of being that underdog guy that everybody loves. He's kind of like that babyface. So, Kyle O'Reilly, definitely hope he does not join the Undisputed Kingdom. All right, lastly, in the main event, we have Swerve Strickland teaming up with Will Ospreay against the Gates of Agony. Swerve Strickland really wanted this one because he was part of the Gates of Agony when he was with the Mogul Embassy. The Mogul Embassy was a little, rotten. They were a little upset that when Swerve became the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, he kind of, disregarded the gang and kind of blackballed them, in a way. Like, didn't really mention them, didn't really, acknowledge them helping, the support, nada. So that could also reflect on Swerve. But, the match, the show ended with Swerve Strickland standing on top, Will Ospreay knocked out after getting kicked in the head by the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Can't wait to watch Forbidden Door. Definitely going to be awesome. We're going to review it, thoroughly tomorrow. Today, we are going to move on. We're going to move on to our Thursday night wrestling preview. We take a step into the ring of TNA Impact and also Ring of Honor. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick, we talked about AEW Dynamite, we talked about, we reviewed, analyzed it, and also, talked about insightful news. Heading toward Forbidden Door, a lot of good promos. The matches are set. I still kind of think there's going to be one more match, especially after Rampage and, Collision, maybe on the pre-show. I wanted to see Willow Nightingale fight Chris Statlander in the second round on Forbidden Door. I thought that would have been really, really badass, but I don't think we're going to get it. Obviously, that's kind of on my AEW wish list. If you're part of AEW, you're watching this, make it happen, baby. Make it happen. All right, well, before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC, podcast.net. Shoot me your questions, comments, and concerns. There we go. The link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow the show. Also, the GSMC Sports Network for all your GSMC Wrestling Laureate news. Also, we have podcasts. We have a bunch of shows about sports, ranging from soccer, hockey, golf, you name it. We have it all. And be a part of this, this bloodline of sports podcasting in terms of the GSMC Sports Network. So, once again, the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. All right, so let's jump on into our second segment. We're going to talk about Thursday Night Wrestling preview. So let's start with TNA Impact. TNA Impact, we're on the road. We're on the road to Slammiversary happening in August, I believe, early August. Santino Marella revealed that there will be a Road to Slammiversary qualifying matches, happening on the show tonight. Also further on, so I guess the winners of these matches will be entered into a 6-way match at Slammiversary for a shot at Moose's TNA World Championship. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't really think of anybody that would kind of hang with kind of Moose right now with TNA, which makes me think that maybe a surprise factor. Obviously, I could be getting ahead of myself, which I, tend to do a lot. It's wrestling. It's wrestling. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Brooks Jensen from TNA has recently been running amok. He's, hasn't really been acknowledged, although, he's been shown through social media. His fiance reported him missing and then said, I'm sorry, we found him. And then, you saw him on NXT. And when I saw him on NXT again on Tuesday, I was like, all right, this is kayfabe. This is kayfabe. This is definitely, this is part of the story. This is part of the story. And the fact that WWE NXT will not really acknowledge him, constantly crashing the facilities, constantly, attacking WWE personnel, referees. He attacked Trick Williams. He was the reason why Shawn Spears was able to pick up the victory. So, it's kind of crazy. It's a kind of crazy way, obviously, part of the new Triple H, Paul Levesque era of professional wrestling. You could kind of expect more things like this, maybe a lot of shocking, definitely using social media to their advantage. I actually did a segment about this, I believe, like 2 shows ago, when I was talking about how social media negatively impacts professional wrestling, but mostly, it creates positives. Definitely in terms of storyline placements, in terms of feuds, also trash talking. It's because everybody nowadays is on social media, especially professional wrestlers. Professional wrestlers have many accounts on various multiple social media platforms like Twitter, or /X. It's so weird that you call it X now. It's kind of crazy. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. So it's, I don't know, it's crazy. So that's how I feel like they're kind of handling this Brooks Jensen thing. I definitely think he's going to be one of the guys to, fight Moose at Slammiversary. Slammiversary is one of the biggest pay-per-views for, TNA. So it's only fitting that you have someone, like that with that shock factor from WWE NXT, make it to Slammiversary, or like maybe somebody else does. Maybe somebody else from WWE NXT takes the bait. Like, honestly, I would love that. I would love that. Next, we see you have, obviously, you have Josh Alexander. He is revealed to be the first entrant. Nick Nemeth tonight fights Rick Swan. Also, you're going to see Steve Maclin against Sami Callihan. Both of those matches are going to be qualifiers for the road to Slammiversary. Mustafa Ali has a State of the Union address. I'm most likely trying to find out who's his next, who the competitor is going to be. Right off the top of my head, if I had to think of some, I would love to see Joe Henry fight Mustafa Ali. I think that would be a great way for him to lose the X Division Championship. No, I'm just kidding. No, I like Mustafa Ali. I like how I like how he complements the belt. Obviously, the X Division. You think of X, you think of the word extreme. So definitely a lot of aerial attacks. Definitely a lot of kind of just, these moves that just don't seem like your standard traditional, very innovative move in the X division, in terms of superstars and stuff like that. It would be kind of crazy to see somebody like, Javon Evans maybe find his way to fight Mustafa Ali once, and in the future. That would be pretty cool. It's kind of crazy now that once when I'm talking about TNA and like I can kind of reference WWE NXT, you know, the world of wrestling's opening up. Love it. I actually read in an interview with Tony Khan. I think it was on ringsidenews.com or cage side seats. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But he was talking how he kind of feels a little responsible for WWE and TNA making the pact, making the crossover happen. First and foremost, because Tony Khan recently, purchased Ring of Honor, also New Japan Professional Wrestling. Now they're partners, so you're gonna see all three of those brands, kind of coexist. And then, secondly, you also kind of see maybe WWE felt like maybe they kind of had to do that because you're going to have AEW most likely, with Warner Brothers Discovery, they're going to hop on the app. They're going to have loads and loads of content. Obviously, you had, the reason why I feel like All Elite Wrestling kind of, is so, kind of so small to WWE's because it's video library content. They started in 2019. If you think about where they are now, honestly, AEW is not doing too bad. People like to get hung up on this notion that, oh, rivalry, who's the best wrestling promotion. It's to the point where now, like with like social media, it really honestly doesn't matter about ratings on TV as much. It matters. It matters, but not that much. So just imagine having TNA on there, having, the NWA, because once, you did see the NWA and TNA, they partnered back in 2006, I believe, or 2004. Um, so it's big. So WWE, I don't know if they felt like they had to kind of reach out to there to kind of be like, well, we can't have like everybody coming after us, you know what I mean? But it's just interesting. So it's very interesting to see what the AEW president, Tony Khan, had to say. So, moving on, interesting to find out who, answers the call to Mustafa Ali. Next, we have Alan Angels against Kushida. Masha Slamovich is going to go head to head with Zaya Brookside. And you have ABC against Jake Something and Diener against the Rascals. The winner might receive a shot at the TNA World Tag Team title, against the system. So, definitely, more interesting, title bouts, coming forward. So that's pretty badass. Moving on to Ring of Honor, we have Big Shotty Lee Johnson against the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds. We have a proving ground match between the Ring of Honor Women's World TV Champion Billie Starkz against Angelica Risk. This match, it could be big. I feel like the way, it's kind of going with MIT with Athena. Obviously, she's hurt, refusing to relinquish the ROH Women's Championship. She's the longest reigning champion. I don't see why she would relinquish it. at all, but there's got to be some drama. There's got to be some drama in terms of that. You kind of, you know, there's just so much domination in terms of professional wrestling right now. And you know, like the system on TNA, like you're kind of seeing the bloodline heading toward another dominating faction, you know, with WWE. And then you have the elite on, you know, AEW. So it's I feel like Billie Starkz probably loses this match. Probably loses this match. And the last, we have the main event. We have Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship match against my man Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher. This is the match that I've been dreading my whole entire life because I love both guys. You know, although Kyle Fletcher is part of the Don Callis family and most likely will be the reason why Will Ospreay will lose to Swerve Strickland because Don Callis, especially what Will Ospreay said on Dynamite 2 weeks ago about how him not needing the Don Callis family. um, it's, you know, obviously you're going to see Will Ospreay attacked by Roosh, attacked by Kyle Fletcher, the Don, you know, Trent Beretta. That's, you know, kind of imminent at this point, you know, kind of heading toward Forbidden Door. So Mark Briscoe, one hell of a man, one hell of a fighter. He's just incredible. And it's kind of sad because don't, I mean, I hope he doesn't lose the championship. But it's like it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Mark Briscoe won the championship from you know, from Eddie Kingston about I would say like 3 to 4 months ago, I believe. And Kyle Fletcher is the hottest superstar on Ring of Honor right now with the winning streak dating back to May of 2022. He defeated Tony Deppen to win the championship, the Ring of Honor World you know, Television Championship. He's had 18 consecutive victories, and oh man, before Forbidden Door, you do have Mark Briscoe heading into the ladder match for the TNT Championship. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to win that ladder match. At this point, I really don't honestly, I can't see why Kyle Fletcher doesn't beat Mark Briscoe tonight. Probably going to wake up tomorrow morning, we'll look at my phone and probably cry, you know, be like, no, my bad, Mark Briscoe, that sucks. So, you know, only time will tell. We're going to find out what happens tonight if you're watching it right now, or if you already have the tea, you know, tap it in the chat section. Maybe I might cry right in front of all you guys right now. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Also on Ring of Honor tonight, we have Taya Valkyrie against Trish Adora. The Problem, Mina Shafir, also to make an appearance. We also have Lance Archer and The Righteous in trios competition. So a lot of good stuff happening on Ring of Honor, a lot of good stuff happening on TNA Impact. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. Our next segment, we're going to jump on into, you know, Mercedes Mone reflects on her time with WWE. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric, here every Monday through Friday talking wrestling, you know, behind the scenes, behind the curtains, inside action, inside and outside of the ring. So make sure you know, catch me every night on the GSMC Sports Network at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So without further ado, we're going to talk about Mercedes Mone and her reflection on WWE. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMCsports.net. Make sure GSMCpodcast.net. Sorry, to getting too ahead of myself. To you know, just ask me a question. Tell me anything. That, tell me your deepest, darkest secret in terms of wrestling. Maybe that, maybe you have a soft spot for Mark Briscoe like I do. Maybe you want to see Cody Rhodes become heel. Like, who knows? I'm not going to know until you guys let me know. So, of course, make sure you Superman punch that like and subscribe button and also follow the show, also the GSMC Sports Network. Again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. So let's make this work. Bam. And bam. All right. So we're going to talk about Mercedes Mone. So far, her recent stints with AEW has been really, really good. I was kind of a little skeptical about it, especially how fast they kind of gave her the championship. I'm a Willow of Nightingale kind of guy. Definitely thinks that she was a great champion. She has huge accolades. She's definitely a good role model. 1,010%. They also pushed Mercedes Mone so hard. They pushed her so hard. I kind of knew she was going to AEW like months before she actually kind of debuted. So of course, if you're Tony Khan, you should be excited to have someone like Sasha Banks or Mercedes Mone, however you want to refer to her. But either or, she's a great wrestler. She's good at what she does. Her promos are decent. It was just that waiting period. I think it was that long waiting period that I don't know if they were still giving her a little bit of a little bit of leeway, a little bit of a chance to kind of get comfortable inside of the ring after, of course, breaking your foot in like two places that, would kind of be troublesome for anybody coming back from any kind of injury. Obviously, like when you see NBA players come back or, football players come back in the NFL, they, kind of take it easy a little bit. Obviously, I feel like, maybe that's what they were doing with Mercedes Mone. But I don't know, it's kind of crazy. So Mercedes Mone, during an appearance on the WFAN, stated that obviously you saw her be back in May of 2022 alongside Naomi. Sasha Banks left the company due to creative differences, kind of a little disgruntled of how her character was kind of being held in her position within the women's division in WWE. Banks, she walked out despite holding the WWE Women's World Tag Team Champions. Of course, that led to her indefinite suspension from WWE. But Mercedes Mone, she had this to say, and I quote, she said, "For so many years, everyone wants the tea on that drama. You're not going to get it unless you buy the book maybe 10 years later." So is she going to write a book, because at this point, I feel like I kind of knew what happened between her and WWE. And of course, this is speculation, but let's get into it. It was because recently, during that time in women's wrestling, especially in 2022, after the pandemic hit, it was definitely kind of a gut check time for WWE, and they started dropping a crap ton of stars. They released a crap ton of stars. And I feel like Sasha Banks was forced to be just that same character. She was constantly, kind of that antagonist, kind of that person that, constantly fights against Bailey, for the same people. You're going to see her with Charlotte Flair fight in the same kind of matches. Definitely the predictability factor was a little prominent. And that's, the moment wrestling fans kind of know wrestling is like, choreographed and scripted and stuff like that. But, I definitely feel for her. I loved how she went to AEW. She also went on from saying that she went from a legit boss to taking charge of her own character, her own life, being the CEO within her own life. Just for her to kind of say that, like, so like the WWE under the Vince McMahon era, you know, uh, allegedly, was it really that bad for women? Was Ronda Rousey kind of right when there'd be like, okay, they would give so much attention to the men inside of WWE, and the women's they just give 5 minutes and be like, oh, that's good enough. Eh, that's cool. They're getting TV time, then they can sell shirts and posters and pamphlets and programs and stuff like that, at the stadium and stuff like yeah. I kind of feel like that's the reason why Sasha Banks kind of left WWE. And it just kind of makes sense. It makes sense. You definitely saw it in her matches. You definitely saw it in her promos that she didn't really have a passion for it anymore. And then, of course, you saw AEW kind of debut in 2019, the crazy time because then you had the pandemic happen that I think it was March of 2019. And they still killed it. And Mercedes Moné feels like that she has a lot more freedom within AEW. So definitely throwing flowers to that. Glad she's happy. When she's happy, she's going to put on some good wrestling promo. She's going to put on some great matches. And overall, like when someone's happy in their career, they're going to be a happy person. They're going to give you the best work that they possibly could. So definitely think that's it's going to be pretty awesome. She said she wanted to pursue personal growth. She wanted to stand up against the unjust circumstances, which kind of made her the highest paid woman in wrestling. She's the TBS champion. She's pursuing the New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Women's Champion at AEW's Forbidden Door on Sunday. And she also said, and I quote, she said, "I get to do so much of my dreams because that day I walked out, I trusted my heart." And it's not easy. It's not easy. Imagine like being part of a company like WWE. You're steadily being shown on TV. You're having matches, you're having promos and stuff like that. Not a lot of people would step away from that. A lot of people would kind of falter in, kind of comfortability. Maybe, you have that sure thing that, okay, I'm on WWE. Like, making it in the world as a professional wrestling is really, really hard. It's a cutthroat industry. You kind of have to be better than the best. And Sasha Banks definitely was better than the best, but even there's always that thought in the back of your mind, even in the professional world of work or whatever you want to say. Like you go out, to the real world after you get the college degree, you get a little bit of experience doing an internship, and then you're just so nervous because you don't know what's going to happen next. So then you're at this job and you're like, oh, I could definitely, I could leave this job. I could leave this job, but I would like to find out my next move first. And I feel like Mercedes Moné knew that, with her talent, she automatically went to, 2023, she debuted in New Japan Professional Wrestling. But I would say she kind of felt a little nervous. She, trusting your heart, it's hard to do. Sometimes your heart thinks different than your brain. Sometimes the decisions your heart makes isn't right. Sometimes when you make decisions just basically off intellect and nothing to do with your heart, it could be bad as well. So you kind of have to find that even balance. You know what I mean? You kind of have to have the best of both worlds, so to speak. And Mercedes Moné, I'm not too sure how unsure she was that she was going to get picked up from another wrestling company and stuff like that. But she's kind of been around the world before. Definitely loves the fact that she could pursue other dreams inside AEW. AEW's was originally more international than WWE was. WWE's international, yes, in terms of like their events and stuff like that, but they're not getting other wrestlers from like, Glasgow, Scotland, or they're not, fighting other wrestlers from, Saudi Arabia, so to speak, or Berlin, or, basically all those other places. And that's something that Mercedes really honestly really wanted to do. She wants to fight the best. She wants to be the best. To be the best, you gotta beat the best. Ric Flair, bam, drop moment, boom. So, Mercedes Moné reflects on the restrictions imposed by WWE. She was she was obviously doing something in The Mandalorian. WWE, it was really problematic. It was like pulling teeth to the WWE. But when she talked about it with the AEW president, Tony Khan's such a sweet guy. He said to Mercedes Moné that there's going to be a private jet available to you at all times to fly from LA to wherever we are, to kind of, just to kind of follow your dreams and stuff like that. So, kind of crazy. AEW's president Tony Khan, kind of good. But she ultimately ended up the interview basically saying that she probably will eventually make it to WWE. Obviously, there would have to be some huge changes and stuff like that. But I don't think WWE has seen the last of Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. I feel like she should come back as Mercedes Moné. I feel like that'd be badass. So yeah. All right, guys, that was my Mercedes Moné talk. Now we're going to jump on into Hot Seat Cool Beans. I'm going to talk about some superstars who have a match at AEW Forbidden Door. If they're on the hot seat to do something, it's either make it or break it, bro. Or it's cool, like if they win or lose, it's not really, gonna, change their career so much. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk all things wrestling and all the action inside and outside of the ring. It is actually pretty hot here in Southern California. I don't know if you guys are, watching me, sweat through my shirt. Some, button at it. Kind of a little, damn, you guys don't even, I'm just kidding. No, I'm glistening. I feel like a glazed donut. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, moving on. So we're gonna talk about hot seat or cool beans. So let's do it. I think it's time, guys. I think it's time.
And now, it's time for
I like
sizzling.
I like how that works. Yes. All right. So let's start off with our cool beans first. Obviously, we have the learning tree right now with Chris Jericho, the FTW World Champion, and you have the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, and you also have Big Cass or Big Bill. To be honest, they're going to fight Hook and Samoa Joe, also Katsuyori Shibata. I didn't want to butcher his name, but being brutally honest, I really don't think that this is such a huge.
It's cool,
this
man.
isn't such a huge deal. This is nothing to do with Chris Jericho's title. This really has nothing to do with Brian Keith or Big Bill. This is more or less just a way for Chris Jericho to get under the skin of Samoa Joe, Hook, Shibata. I guarantee you that if I'd put money on it, I would pick these guys to win. I think there's going to be a surprise that Chris Jericho isn't telling everyone. There's going to be a fourth member of the Learning Tree that's going to be acknowledged on AEW's Forbidden Door. Someone's going to open that Forbidden Door. Obviously, there's probably a lot of tricks up of, Chris Jericho's sleeve. Maybe he didn't really mean the other guy. Maybe he meant somebody else. So, I don't know. It should be pretty interesting. So, all right. Next, we have Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson wants, kind of like with the Chris Jericho and stuff like that. I feel like he really doesn't have much to prove on, Forbidden Door. I feel like, with the Blackpool Combat Club, also, with his own Heart Cup. Well, this could be kind of a way, but I just don't. If I would see Swerve Strickland lose his title against anybody, I don't think it would really be Bryan Danielson at this junction in his career. Maybe somebody else wins it, and then you need that underdog. Maybe you need that baby face kind of aspect to it. That's when I feel like Bryan Danielson would probably come in and be a little more effective in terms of that. All right, next we have Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, also Samoa Joe. Once again, kind of the way I was talking about it before is, I don't really feel like any of these guys are on the hot seat. I feel like it's cool beans for all these guys. It's, it's not a title match. It's not a singles bout. And all three of these guys are singles wrestlers. They definitely, I feel like when they divvy out, when they find out who becomes the AEW TNT champion, these three guys are going to be, chomping at the bits, to kind of fight the guy. So, I think it's, definitely cool beans. All right, next we have Shingo Tagachi. Shingo Tagachi is going to fight, Bryan Danielson for a shot at All In. Opposite of Daniel Bryan, I'm going to say right now Tagachi. I feel like
sizzling.
I feel like he's kind of under the hot seat right now. With this new, partnership between AEW and New Japan Professional Wrestling, they kind of need some of these guys to step it up. This guy's a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Would be amazing to kind of see him go on to the finals to fight whoever the wild card is from the Young Bucks or from the EVPs or the Elite. So definitely think Tagachi, definitely a lot of some heat coming from that seat. Next, we have Maxwell Jacob Freeman is going against Hachicero. I know coming back is it's big. It's cool. It's really
Oh,
awesome to
it's
make
cool, man. It's all cool,
kind of an imprint
man.
on on your debut back. But I feel like MJF's MJF. His accomplishments kind of speak a lot for him. I don't really see how this match really kind of alters his character development or the way he kind of pursues the AEW World Heavyweight Championship so much. So, I think it's cool. I think right now, his seat is kind of cool right now. So not too much pressure on Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And next we have Hachicero. Hachicero, once again, I'm gonna say, I feel like this match is more or less
Oh,
just kind of a way
it's
for
cool,
MJF to
man.
kind
It's
of,
all cool,
kind of
man.
find a way, kind of, get his, get his fins, flapping again, kind of testing the waters a little bit. And although this guy's very impressive, he's like he has an aerial attack. He's basically a submission wizard, and he's a powerhouse. So this guy, not taking anything away from him, but once again, I feel like there's not that much pressure on him to like really kind of prove anything at AEW Forbidden Door. So yeah. All right, next we have the Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. has been, kind of on a hot streak as of late. Um, Once again, I really, I know to kind of help your career perpetuate, you kind of need to get wins, after one another. But especially with everything that's happening with the Don Callis family, with Kyle
Oh,
Fletcher kind of,
it's cool, man.
kind of
It's all
assuming the roles
cool,
here. I don't think
man.
there's too much pressure of Zack Sabre Jr. to defeat Cassidy heading toward the pay. So of course now we have the opposite. Now on the other side of the turnbuckle, on the other side of the ring, facing him, you have Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy, I gotta be honest, is actually once again he's going to be on the opposite.
It's
I feel like his seat's kind of
sizzling.
sizzling. He, ever since leaving the Don Callis family, he's just been getting jumped and jumped and jumped, winning matches here and there, being part of trios matches, being part of 4-on-4s. So for him to establish himself as a singles wrestler, he needs to do it now. He needs to do it on, at Forbidden Door against Sabre Jr. You saw Sabre Jr. defeat Kyle O'Reilly on AEW Dynamite last night. So definitely some pressure on Freshly Squeezed, but he kind of needs to establish his character with establishment. He should beat Zack Sabre Jr. Next, we have the IWGP champion John Moxley. He's I feel, I'm just gonna, finish this real
Oh,
quick because
it's cool,
I
man.
don't feel
It's
like he
all
has really
cool,
anything to prove right
man.
now. I know he's going against the leader of the TIJ or the I might have did that wrong. My dyslexia is, but no, obviously you need to retain, but his opponent Naito, he's not bad. He's a former IWGP champion, so like if he's not going to lose, he's not going to lose. I don't know if maybe I'm too confident for John Moxley that's the reason why I have him on cool, but and interesting. Toni Storm. Toni Storm is going to defend her title against Mina, Shirakawa. Once again, I kind of feel, although she has to
Hey,
win, I don't
it's
really see
cool,
her dropping
man.
the
It's
title
all
here.
cool,
Really,
man.
you're going to sacrifice Toni Storm's title reign for a potential, best friend shakeup where Mariah May goes to Mina Shirakawa. I don't think it's legible. I don't think it's realistic. I don't know why AEW would do that. Next, you have Tatsuyori Naito. On the other side of that coin, you also see Naito to kind of establish yourself, much like you kind of saw in Tagachi. That once when
It's
they kind of formed the partnership
sizzling.
with AEW and New Japan Professional Wrestling, I feel like right now this is kind of your time to shine, to show the wrestling world that that New Japan Professional Wrestling rocks, which it does. So, I feel like he does have a little bit of pressure on him. Next, you have Mina Shirakawa. Mina Shirakawa. To be honest, I don't really think there's that much
Oh,
pressure on her. I kind of
it's
like the
cool,
way that
man. It's all
AEW kind of
cool,
did it
man.
with the promos on AEW Dynamite when she grabbed the champagne bottle and missed Toni Storm. But I really honestly don't think she has any pressure to do anything on Forbidden Door. Next year, Mercedes Mone against Stephanie Vacour. Once again, don't think Mercedes Mone really has anything to prove.
It's cool,
I think the
man.
match
It's
is
all
going to
cool,
end in
man.
some kind of an interference. Someone's going to try to attack Mercedes Mone and be like, I'm coming after your TBS championship. My guess would probably be Chris Statlander, in my opinion, to kind of open up that, portal between Willow, Statlander and Mercedes heading toward Wembley Stadium. That'd be a pretty cool triple threat match. But both of those girls are in their own Heart Cup, so it'd be kind of redundant if you gave them a title shot. If you're Tony Khan. All right, next we have Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer, kind of like Mercedes Mone. I really don't, see any reason why there's really any pressure
cool,
on her.
man.
Obviously,
Cool,
the pressure's on
man.
her because Sasha Banks or Mercedes Mone really wants that title really, really bad. But Stephanie, she can hold her own in the ring. She's one of the best wrestlers. According to PW Insider, she's always on the power rankings. So definitely think that she's it's cool. It's cool right now for her. Kind of speeding through this right here. Oh no, Mark Briscoe heading toward, if he wins tonight, against Kyle Fletcher, retains his championship. No, if he doesn't, then yes, then he definitely has he definitely has
It's
it sizzling under him if he loses
sizzling.
his Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship tonight. He needs to be a champion. He needs to be the AEW TNT champion if he loses his belt tonight. So yeah. And next we have Jack Perry. Jack Perry, I feel like ever since coming back,
It's
you
sizzling.
tombstoned, you knocked out the boss, you injured Kenny Omega, you joined the EVPs, you ran over, Darby Allin with the bus, left them to die. You got burned on the Anarchy in the Arena. Jack Perry is definitely set up for something big. I feel like he should win this match, although I don't want him to. But definitely think the pressure is on in terms of trying to be somebody after all this hype and everything like that. Next we have Konosuke Takeshita, also going to be part of that ladder match. I feel like it's cool. I feel like right now it's cool, right? He obviously
it's
really,
cool,
really talented
man.
guy.
It's all cool,
Definitely think he's
man.
going to get a lot of shots for the AEW TNT Championship kind of moving forward. All right, and then we have Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, like I said before, I feel like Don Callis' family will get involved. You're going to see maybe Trent Beretta, maybe Don Callis himself, maybe Roosh, maybe Kyle Fletcher find a way to attack Will Ospreay, screwing over his chances, and he has a huge match against, Daniel Garcia. So I'm going to say right now my favorite,
it's cool, man.
my
It's
favorite,
all cool,
I think it's
man.
Australia. I think he's Austrian or United Kingdom. I'm not too sure, but my favorite Aussie. He's gonna, it's cool, man. He's cool, bro. He's cool. And lastly, we have this man, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Swerve Strickland. And for him, it's sizzling.
It's
I feel like it's sizzling.
sizzling.
Definitely needs to prove himself. Will Ospreay is definitely one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire world. So it wouldn't make sense for all the pressure to kind of be on Swerve Strickland. A true testament to his title reign. So yeah, that was Hot Seat Cool Beans. Our next segment, we have Thursday Night Superstar Spotlight with John Cena. So hey, do not go anywhere. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, talking all your cool wrestling stuff, everything you need to know inside, outside, and behind the curtain in terms of professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, the NWA, the MLW. Also, we touch on Stardom here and there, but yeah, let's dig on into our fifth and final segment. So we can wrap this show up. We got my man Emran right now, the soccer podcast. If you're into soccer, come and check it out. If not, check out one of the other podcasts. All right, first, we're gonna have our Thursday night Superstar Spotlight. John Cena. So John Felix Anthony Cena, born April 23rd, 1977. He's a pro wrestler. He's a rapper. He's an actor. He was signed to WWE. He's been signed to WWE ever since 2001, something that John Cena is amazing at. Obviously, he has the Legends contract right out the get-go. The WWE got lucky with John Cena. 1,010%. No one could really match his enthusiasm, his charismatic spirit. Also, just he's like a genuine, like nice dude. Like it's crazy to be that much of a perfect person, and then you create this perfect world and stuff like that. And John Cena, he worked his arse off. He worked his arse off. He definitely deserves it. Definitely deserves every shred, every flower you're throwing him. Every single time you watch a movie and you clap for him, he deserves it. John Cena wasn't overrated at all in terms of professional wrestling. Although he was the biggest baby face and never really had that heel, kind of like what people think that Cody Rhodes is going to be. But it's John Cena. It's John Cena. So, you learn to love it. He's a 16 time world champion. He's one of the greatest wrestlers as regarded from like greats from Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, even his idol, Hulk Hogan. His idol was Hulk Hogan growing up. He moved to California in 1998 to pursue a career in bodybuilding. He was part of the Ultimate Professional Wrestling, the UPW, in 1999. Made it to the OVW in 2001. He was the OVW, the Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is a WWE kind of developmental territory. He was the heavyweight champion. He also dabbled in the tag team championships again as well. He debuted on SmackDown 2002 against Kurt Angle, which was definitely one of the craziest moments. He said, what do you got? Kurt Angle was like, what do you got that all these other guys don't have? And he was like, ruthless aggression. Basically, kind of foretelling the era of wrestling that would come next with him ultimately on top. You kind of had JBL. You kind of had, an aging Rey Mysterio and an Undertaker kind of faltering a little bit. You kind of had, people like Batista, Randy Orton. Triple H was also someone that was aging. You needed just the new era of wrestling. Then you also had CM Punk, but CM Punk didn't really, we all knew how that kind of ended up and stuff like that with the pipe bomb. But John Cena was through it all. He did it all. He represented the company super well. He's still probably one of the best WWE superstars, if not the best WWE superstar of all time. I think he has an amazing winning percentage, although I think Bret Hart has the highest winning percentage in WWF/WWE history. Don't quote me on that. But it's kind of crazy. So, he was a villainous, trash-talking rapper. After winning the championship, the WWE Championship in 2005, he transitioned into the clean-cut hero you see in front of you. With never give up, hustle, loyalty, and respect. The champ is here. You can't see me. He's a WWE champion 13 times, a world heavyweight champion 3 times, a United States champion 5 times, tag team champion, world and regular 4 times. He's a 2-time Royal Rumble winner. Also, he is a Money in the Bank winner as well. He main evented WrestleMania 5 times, man. 5 times. Definitely him and Roman Reigns are like the only dudes that could probably, well, I guess, and Triple H. And Triple H, maybe The Undertaker. But I feel like The Undertaker's matches, once when he got the streak kind of going, and he didn't really have a title belt, to kind of defend and stuff like that. But it was still cool because it was The Undertaker. He was defending, something bigger than a WWE championship. He was defending that undefeated streak at WrestleMania, which I feel like he should have kept, Freaking Brock Lesnar, man. Brock Lesnar didn't deserve it. Didn't deserve it. He's also a movie star. We talked about this over and over again. He's definitely, he's definitely been there, done that. He was in The Marine. That was his first movie, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Also, he was on, Ferdinand. He was the voice of the bull. He was on Blockers, which was it was a funny movie. It was amazing. He's also on Vacation Friends, Bumblebee, Fast and Furious 9 and X. He's part of Peacemaker of the Spirit Squad of the Riot. Not the, oh my God, why do I keep Suicide Squad? Damn, just how you guys know that I'm a huge WWE nerd. It's just like I couldn't even think about the Suicide Squad. I thought about the Riot Squad with Ruby Riot, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan, and then you also had that's crazy. That's just crazy. The Spirit Squad with Nikki, Mikey. Oh man, can I name them all? Nikki, Mikey, Kenny. That's all I know. Mitch. Ah, there's one more. Mikey, Mitch, Kenny, Nikki. Oh, there's one more Spirit Squad member that I can't remember. Hit it up in the chat. Let me know who I'm missing because this is gonna bother me all night. I'm gonna have to Google it as soon as I get done with this podcast. I think it was the main guy. No, there wasn't really a main guy. There was, oh God, I don't know. That's no, anyway. Focusing on John Cena. So, like I said, he basically has all the accolades in the world in terms of professional wrestling, in terms of just life in general. It's kind of crazy. He holds the record for the most wishes granted from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Over 650 Make-A-Wish kids. That's admirable. It's very cool. Definitely something you have to throw flowers at John Cena. He's an amazing human being. Definitely knows how to stay down to earth. Won't let success get to his head. And it's crazy. It's crazy how great John Cena was. It's amazing how, even more of a better human being he actually is. He was teased and beaten up in high school. He asked his parents at the age of 12 if he can get a weight bench, and he started lifting weights at the age of 12. He graduated from, Springfield College. He was an NCAA All-American center for his football team. He has a degree in exercise physiology, also body movement, and something that John Cena did in terms of the WWE is that he just left some giant shoes to fill. Just left some giant shoes to fill, shoes that WWE really hoped that Roman Reigns was going to fill one day, which he eventually did. But people wanted to kind of have him fill it sooner, which is why you had that awesome promo when John Cena came back and said Roman Reigns is like, "Hey John, why are you even here? Nobody wants you here." And he was like, "Dude, simply because you can't do your job, Roman. You can't get a good promo." And lo and behold, it took Roman to turn heel to cut good promos and to be a legend, and which everybody according, to speculations, in the interviews, even CM Punk said, like, he said in an interview, don't quote me on this. I think he said in an interview, I'm not too sure, but CM Punk said the best thing for Roman Reigns is to just turn around and just flip off the crowd, flip them off, give them the bird, be like, dude, all you guys, because everybody would just boo him during every single match he was in, and it was getting to the point where even I was kind of like, oh, now it got to the point where I was like, oh, Roman Reigns is like this badass guy. He's going to be the future of WWE. To the point where you're like, man, I kind of feel sorry for this guy. Like and then you don't get that same respect. You don't get that same, kind of reaction from the crowd if you just kind of pity somebody in terms of like, all right, we're rooting for him because we pity him. You know what I mean? So, eventually he made it as the heel, like I was talking about, being part of the bloodline, but definitely changed Roman Reigns' life for the better. And, kind of moving forward, but then you had Cody Rhodes come back. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, kind of a little aging, kind of getting up there. It's going to be interesting within the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years, who they really decide to kind of develop. Obviously, Seth Rollins is getting kind of older as well. You have young guys coming in from WWE NXT, which is, kind of a godsend in my opinion, to be honest. And then of course you still have the OVW in the, WWE, the developmental like kind of territory and stuff like that. And John Cena is literally the most amazing person in this whole entire room. He's a rapper. He can act. He was a great wrestler. He, he took time off to learn Mandarin Chinese so he can help the WWE establish more international relationships. He also taught himself to, play the piano. This guy's like amazing. This guy's incredible. Amazing. I can just say that over and over again and be like, well, that was my take on John Cena. Just saying amazing 5,300 times, But, John Cena, when you think about wrestling, you think about John Cena. When I still see John Cena, and when he still loses matches at his age, I'm like, dude, I thought John Cena was gonna win. I think it's because my brain has been kind of hardwired because I used to watch professional wrestling basically during the age of John Cena. And when he left in the late 2010s, that's kind of when I stepped away from WWE, when you just started seeing somebody try to take over as John Cena's kind of predecessor, and it just wasn't good entertainment. It was kind of bad. It didn't take them until probably, uh, I don't know. I would say probably until much recent. No, no, because I watched it, but John Cena was just so popular. He was just so popular, so dominating. Every single match he was in, everybody was like, John Cena's gonna win, dude. John Cena's gonna win. John Cena, the man, the myth, the legend. Definitely throwing respect on John Cena tonight. Thursday Superstar Spotlight. Let me know in the chat how you feel about John Cena, in terms of, his accomplishments, maybe his favorite movie, maybe his favorite part in the movie. And, damn, 650 Make-A-Wish wishes. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. If I ever kind of make it in this crazy world in sports media, I would love to kind of be like a John Cena. Such a good role model. Such a good role model. All right, guys. So that was my show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to like and subscribe to the show, and leave a positive feedback, leave a positive review. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So really does make a difference, guys. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more content and updates. And if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have a bunch of sports podcasts. Go check them out. We have the Andrew Tate Show. We also have Hoops and Heels podcast with Samantha, your one-stop shop for women's sports and stuff like that. Definitely awesome. Jeremy and TJ on sports. Kenny and Manny on football. My man Sam on baseball. Nelson on basketball. Christopher on fantasy sports. We just have podcast, and my man Tommy talking all things college football. Make sure you stay up to date with football, because as soon as the preseason kind of comes around, you're gonna want to watch some of the football podcasts that the GSMC Sports Network kind of provides. And it's not like ESPN or Fox Sports where we charge you guys. It's absolutely 110% free. So be a part of the GSMC Sports bloodline. Once again, I'm Eric Rodriguez, your favorite wrestling host in the whole entire world. And hey, stay beautiful.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's go.